Guten Tag, Herr Smith here. Going to take a look at a poem today. Love me some poetry. So, first thing you do when you see a poem is, yep, you got it, count the syllables. So, we're going to take a look at a poem, four stanzas, and we're going to take a look at it together. We're going to kind of look at some vocabulary, look at some grammar, and just do sort of a line by line reading, a brief reading, not a super close reading, but a little bit of reading of this poem together. Afterwards, you're going to want to do a couple things. You're going to want to find a good quality pronunciation of this. There's a million of them on YouTube, somewhere online. You want to hear it read by a real native speaker with good dramatic inflection, much better than me. And so you're going to want to do that. You're also going to want to just read a straight out copy of it. But this is an important poem, major landmark in literary history. So let's jump in and take a look at this. Let's take a look at a poem. This poem is entitled Der Fischer, The Fisherman, written by Goethe. Everybody loves Goethe. Written in the year 1779. Little historical context. The literary world of Europe was consumed with a movement called Romanticism. So not just in Germany, but in other countries as well. The poets, the composers, the painters, everybody doing different kinds of art. Most of them were doing art in a style called Romanticist. Real quick, Romanticism emphasizes extreme emotions. So it's all about the passion. It's less about the logic and the reasoning. There's a little bit of an internal contradiction in Romanticism because the works of art that are made in this style, whether they're poems or paintings or musical compositions, they want to look as if they are the spontaneous outburst of uncontrolled passion, but the works of art themselves are actually quite carefully and methodically planned and executed. Anyways, it's a poem by Goethe. So let's take a look at the first of four stanzas. Das Wasser rauscht, das Wasser schwoll. All right, the water was making noise, rauschen, to make a soft noise. Schwoll, the water was waving, swelling, lapping about. Rauschen is a regular verb, so it should be rauschte, but the poet has omitted the E to get a syllable count. Schwoll is an irregular verb, schwellen, schwoll. Ein Fischer saß daran. A fisherman sat at it, on it, at the edge of the water, daran. Saß, irregular verb. All these verbs so far are in the preterite, the past tense. The water swelled, the water made a soft noise, the fisherman sat. Sah nach dem Angel ruhevoll. Okay, continuing in the past, the preterite tense, he saw. Okay, he's looking after his fishing, Angel, the process of fishing. Ruhevoll, calmly, quietly, he's watching after his fishing process. Kühl bis ans Herz hinan. Okay, he's cool up to, even into his heart. He's cool. Meaning what? Meaning maybe that he lacks a little excitement in his life, lacks a little bit of passion. He's just kind of sitting there watching his fishing process. Maybe he needs a little more passion in his life. At least that's what the poet thinks. Und wie sitzt und wie lauscht, teilt sich die Flut empor. All right, we're going to change. Now we're in the present tense. As he sits and as he listens, sitzen, lauschen, to sit, to listen. Okay, so he's just kind of doing his thing. Teilt sich die Flut empor. Teilen, to divide, sich, to divide itself. Empor means upwards. So die Flut is the water. The water divides itself upwards. What's happening here? Well, it's like the water is sort of magically making an opening on either side. The water is piling up, and in the middle, then there's a little depression in the water. Okay. P.S. The adverb wie und wie sitzt und wie lauscht nowadays we think of wie meaning as or how or like, you know, and here we'd say as he sits and as he listens. Okay, so what's happening? The water kind of is opening up before him. That's a strange sight, a mystical, magical sight. Aus dem bewegten Wasser rauscht ein feuchtes Weib hervor. All right, so out of the moved water. Bewegen is a verb to move. Bewegten is what we call a past participle. Out of the moved water. Rauscht, okay, we had rauscht up in the first line to make a soft noise, but we have a separable prefix here, hervorrauschen. Okay, so with a noise and yet somehow moving. Okay, so something is sweeping towards you, swooping towards you. And what is it that's sweeping or swooping toward the fisherman? Ein feuchtes Weib. Literally a wet woman. Okay, Weib, synonym roughly for Frau, das Weib, origin of the English word wife, of course. Feucht, wet, she's coming out of the water. So the water has sort of magically parted and up floats, up sweeps this woman out of the water. A strange, strange sight, to be sure. Stanza 2. Sie sang zu ihm, sie sprach zu ihm. All right. Now all of a sudden we're back into the preterite. Now we're in the past tense again. She sang to him, she spoke to him. Was lagst du, meiner Brut, mit Menschenwitz und Menschenlist hinauf in totes Glut? Okay, locken, to lure. Was, the question word. What? Okay, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What's your idea here? Why do you lure? Why do you tempt? Why do you seduce? Right? Why are you tricking meine Brut, my brood, my children? All right, so she's apparently a mother and she has lots of children. You're luring my children mit Menschenwitz und Menschenlist, with human cleverness and with human deceptiveness. Why are you luring them? Hinauf, upwards, in totes Glut. Okay, death, Tod. Glut means like heat, a glowing heat, a furnace-like heat. So you're luring my brood, my group of children, up into this terrible deathly heat. Well, what are her children? Well, they're fish, right? He's a fisherman. So she's upset with him because he fishes. He brings the fish up out of the water where they can't live very long. Ach, wüsstest du, wie's Fischlein ist, so wohlig auf dem Grund? Oh, if you only knew. Okay, wüsstest, right? We know the verb wissen, to know. Ich weiß. Ach, wüsstest du. This is a subjunctive form. It's a counterfactual form. If you only knew. Wie's Fischlein ist, how it is for the fish. Line, a diminutive suffix, how it is for the little fish. If you only knew how it is for the little fish. So wohlig auf dem Grund, so well, so happy, so prosperous, things are going well for them. Auf dem Grund, on the bottom, meaning the bottom of the lake, right? Or the sea or the river, wherever he's fishing. So if you only knew how nice it was for the little fishies down at the bottom of the lake, all right? If you knew, du stiegst herunter, wie du bist, und würdest erst gesund. If you knew this stuff, you would climb downwards. Stiegst, another subjunctive form. Steigen is the verb to climb. Stiegst, subjunctive, counterfactual, you would do this. Herunter, downwards, you would climb down. Wie du bist, as you are. You would just like up and get off your butt and jump in the water. Und würdest erst gesund. And you would, subjunctive, only then, erst, only then you would be healthy. All right, so life of you as you have known it up till now, up in the dry world above the surface of the water, it's not really a healthy life. It's not much of a life at all, she says. You would become only then really healthy if you jump into the lake and live at the bottom of the lake along with all the little fish who are so happy down there. Okay, so notice the verb forms. First line, preterite, past, she sang, she spoke. Then it switches to the present tense. Was lagst du? What are you doing by tempting or tricking or luring my fish babies? All right, and then the last four lines, subjunctive. All right, so we got all kinds of different verb forms floating around here. The third of four stanzas, labt, all right, present tense, indicative. Laben is a verb meaning to splash, to dip something into water. Okay, labt sich die liebe Sonne nicht, der Mond sich nicht im Meer. So doesn't the dear sun labt sich, doesn't it dip itself, the dear sun or the moon, into the sea? Speaking here what? Of sunset or moonset, right? When the sun disappears, it goes down. When the moon goes down, and if you live on a coast, if you live near an ocean, it looks as if the sun is dipping itself into the sea, or the moon is dipping itself into the sea. So this mermaid, this siren, the German word Nixe, is talking to the fishermen and pointing out how wonderful it is in the sea. Doesn't the dear sun and the moon, don't they dip themselves into the sea? Kehrt wellenatmend ihr Gesicht nicht doppelt schöner her? Doesn't their face, okay, the face of the sun or the moon, doesn't their face, kehrt, her, return to here, kehren to return, return here, kehrt her, wellenatmend, okay, wellen is like waves of water, atmend, breathing. So the face of the sun or the moon is breathing the waves and returning here. And how does it look when it returns here? Doppelt schöner, twice as pretty. All right, so the mermaid or the siren is making an argument about why it's so great to live in the sea, because even the sun and the moon, after they've dipped themselves into the sea at sunset and come back up the next morning, don't they look twice as nice because they've been breathing in those waves? Lockt dich der tiefe Himmel nicht, das feucht verklärte Blau? Lockt dich dein eigen Angesicht nicht her in ewigen Tau? All right, so the mermaid continues to speak to the fisherman, locken, to lure, to trick, right? Last stanza, he was luring the fish up. Now she wants to lure him down. So isn't it tempting you? Isn't it luring you? Isn't it calling to you? What's calling to you? Der tiefe Himmel, the deep sky. Now, what's she talking about? The sky is up, the water, the lake, the sea, the ocean is down. But what do you see when you look at the surface of a lake? You see a reflection of the sky above. All right, so he's looking down at the water and he sees the sky. And the ocean, the sea, is kind of like a sky in a way. Das feucht verklärte Blau. Okay, verklären, to transform, to transfigure. Feucht, again, is moisture. So this sky, this image of the sky that you see on the surface of the water, which has been transformed by the water, by the moisture, doesn't this all tempt you and call to you and lure you? Lockt dich dein eigen Angesicht. Okay, doesn't it also lure you, your own face? Dein eigenes Angesicht. Okay, it should be eigenes, but the poet chopped off a syllable. Your own face is luring you, okay, as you look down into the water. Okay, nicht her in ewigen Tau. Okay, doesn't it lure you towards this way in ewigen Tau, in the eternal dew, right? The moisture that you see on the grass in the morning, Tau, dew, ewigen, adjective, eternal. So doesn't this all just call to you? Don't you want to be in the water when you look at it? Yeah, all right. Fourth of four stanzas. Das Wasser rauscht, das Wasser schwoll. Identical to the first line of the poem. Kind of like coming full circle. All right, what's happening? The fisherman is sitting there and, still at the edge of the water watching his fishing process. Netzt ihm den nackten Fuß. All right, what's happening? The water, still the subject of the verb here, netzt, past a preterite, regular verb, netzen, so to net, to grasp, to entangle him. Okay, so the water grabs his naked foot, right? So he's barefoot. He's got no shoes, got no socks. Remember, body parts are never your own. So it's the naked foot, ihm, to him. The water is grasping his foot, right? So he's sitting there fishing, and the waves kind of are sloshing around, and one of the waves kind of gets on his foot. So now he's wet. Now he's been in contact with this water. Sein Herz wuchs ihm so sehnsuchtsvoll. His heart grew, okay, or became, or grew, became, wachsen, literally to grow, past tense wuchs. It grew to him, for him, inside of him, so sehnsuchtsvoll, so full of desire. Voll Sehnsucht, desire. So inside of him, his heart was just filled with this strong desire. Wie bei der liebsten Gruß. All right, how powerful was this desire inside of him? It was like der liebsten Gruß, the greeting of the most beloved one. All right, crazy little phrase here. Der Liebsten is actually a genitive. So it would be die Liebste, the most beloved one. So we would say, excuse me, we would say the greeting of the most beloved one, der Gruß der Liebsten. But the poet has kind of shuffled up the word order here. Normally a genitive goes after the noun. Here it goes in front of the noun just to get the rhyme scheme all lined up. So it's like he's hearing his girlfriend greet him, right? His heart grew so filled with desire inside of him, just like when his girlfriend says hi. Sie sprach zu ihm, sie sang zu ihm. Okay, once again, a repeated line from stanza 2. Da war's ihm geschehen. Okay, there it was, it had happened. Geschehen is a verb to happen, synonym with the verb passieren. Okay, it had happened ihn. It happened all around him. Okay, so something magical, something amazing is going on here. It's happening all around him. It had happened, a pluperfect we call that. It had happened all around him. Halb zog sie ihn, halb sank hin. So halfway she pulls him, and halfway he sinks. Okay, so halfway she's kind of doing this to him. She's tugging on him. She's pulling him, all right, downward into the water. Halfway she's doing it to him, but halfway he's allowing it to happen. Halb sank hin. He's giving himself into this process here. Und ward nicht mehr gesehen, and was no more seen. He was never seen again. Ward, a poetic form, an older form, we would just say war. We'd omit the letter D in modern conversational German. Und ward nicht mehr gesehen. All right, so that was a quick look, a quick read through of this poem, Der Fischer by Goethe. You want to want to spend some quality time reading reading this poem, and you also want to get some good quality recordings of a real native speaker German reading this thing out loud, somebody who's got way better pronunciation than I do. But that was our first look at the poem. So that was the poem, Der Fischer, by Goethe. Great poem, lots of fun. Trivia note, for those of you interested in music, this is the kind of thing that composers love to set to music. It has actually been set to music a number of different times, mainly in sort of classical or romantic styles, but also has been set to music in more modern pop styles, things like that as well. So it's a musical piece people enjoy, but it's a worth studying, worth listening to, and think about it in terms of right brain, left brain, or holistic versus analytic, however you want to think about it. One thing you want to do is read it kind of line by line, analyze syllables and grammar, vocabulary, but you also want to be able to step back and just listen to it as a work of sound. Remember, poetry is meant to be heard as much or even more than it's meant to be read. So you can turn off the part of your brain that's worried about grammar and meaning when you just listen to a recording of a good actor or a good actress reading it out loud. You don't even have to know a single word of German. You don't have to have any idea what it means. You're just listening to the sound. So do both sides. Do the analytic thing and look at each letter and analyze the whole thing under a microscope, but then, turn off the analytic side of your brain and do the holistic thing and just listen to the sounds. Okay, it's amazing just what the poet can do by arranging sounds, consonants, vowels, all that stuff. And the rhythm, of course, the syllables, etc., etc. Remember, poetry has a beat, just like music, so you can have a metronome running and feel the beat of that thing. So anyways, a good look at Der Fischer. You're going to go on, you're going to want to read it on your own without me yammering into your ear. You're going to want to read it, and then you're going to want to listen to some of those recordings on the web of good quality actors and actresses giving you a read through of that thing. On a totally different note, I'd like to let you know that for the 21st year in a row, I have been voted the best and most popular German teacher at Huron High School. So I'm humbled and honored by that. And I'll see you later. Tschüss.